committing the file directly to a version control system, and Poodle can then update the file and ensure that it always updates cleanly without a conflict. So that's a problem, that you get a translator that wants to use version, well, they don't really want to use version control, but they have to use version control system. It's very hard to understand, it's complex. Some of them only have command line utilities and things like that. Now you need to update. There's some conflicts, the update didn't happen cleanly, now what do? Your cat tool can't open the file anymore, you might have lost some translations, and you might just say, okay, leave this. So Poodle actually does a clean update, and then merges in the changes on Poodle or over the version control copy again afterwards. And now some more recent features, only a few months ago, we released it where you can actually have some news and events on the site. Things like if someone uploaded a file, you can see it in your RSS feed, you can go check what they did. You can also just type in a notice to encourage your teammates or something like that. And on like the front page, you can even see if new people registered, or if like some language reached completion in a certain project. You can see all these sorts of things. Also have a way of disseminating the information about what's happening on the server. So this is the same editing area, just with a bigger segment. Yet here you can see the feature where it's actually showing alternative source languages. So because it's a complete system managing several languages, possibly, we know where the Catalan translation of that English segment is. We can show it to the translator. So this is the Basque translation. You might want to have a look at the Catalan and Spanish for some inspiration or reuse. And that's actually a powerful feature, especially for us in Africa. A lot of people from Francophone world don't actually speak English. They might be bilingual, trilingual, but English is not necessarily one of those languages. So that's been very useful. People like the Breton community in France, you know, their French will be excellent, but the English might not be. And this has been actually a way to continue to take part without having to first manipulate the files. We have some command line utilities that swap out the source language to now be French and things like that. But it's harder to do, and with this way, you might still want to translate from the English, but you might just want to check, because maybe just here and there it will give you a nice idea. And this has been used quite a lot, especially with the One Laptop Per Child project, where people in South America are translating from Spanish. And you can see this is just a screenshot, one of the servers used for OpenOffice. You can see that they're translating the old user interface and the help content. So that's actually the help files, something like 400,000 words which you translate. At least the German team is actually currently translating it using Xlif, because the whole German team uses a cat tool with Xlif. So they're actually hosting it on Poodle as an Xlif project instead of BO. And that's been possible for some time, and we're happy to make it possible for them. This is a screenshot from the server for the One Laptop Per Child project. Are you all familiar with the project, the One Laptop Per Child? These little cute computers meant to be really cheap, really rugged, with the main goal being self-education, that a child who gets this will be able to educate themselves without a teacher. You even can generate your own electricity on some of the models. It runs for very long on the battery. It has a really high contrast screen, so you can use it in direct sunlight. It's really a cute device. It has these little ears. It's a Wi-Fi, wireless aerials. It's a very nice device. And they obviously, for them, localization is everything. They want to reach people in Nigeria and South America and so on. So this is what some of the main projects are called. And here you can see that the terminology is also managed as a separate project. And then the terminology suggestions come wherever you're translating from the terminology project. This gives you an idea of how active things are. And as I said, this is the news I mentioned earlier.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
Sorry. I heard that this project, went very well in the beginning, so I read articles, but then I read some months ago, later after that went well, that it slowed down and was not really worthwhile. So
One Laptop Per Child.
Yeah.
I'm not very familiar with their success. I know that they went through a reorganization, which might mean that there were some issues.
Okay.
I'm not really familiar. I know that I read recently about a new hardware version and things like that coming out. So it's not stalled or anything like that. I don't know.
I have been working with this OLPC, and then I think it fails, especially mostly South Africa even in South America, I think. The reason is the first thing they tried, because these laptops have a mesh network, and then they thought that they will use it to use the server rather than to have an internet connection. But most of the time they are using for some other different purposes, like so they would like to cut this internet, and then the OLPC has only 1 gigabyte space, which doesn't accommodate all things, and they thought that maybe they use the network to store any information on the server. The second one is the price of the OLPC. The price was like, they thought that it might be $100 US, but still they couldn't come up less than 182. And then $182 means in Africa it is lots and lots of money. If you give for one peasant in my country, it is for a year, and then it will get lots of things out of that, rather than giving that laptop. So
and another company at the same time developed another laptop for the same money or something. I don't know if it was IBM.
Yeah, I mean the netbooks came at the same time that they were trying to go to market, and I think if I think the netbook idea might have even come from them. I don't know. That's not for me to say. But yeah, I don't think they've had the success that they wanted. I think the price point was a problem. They weren't able to make it as cheap as they wanted. But the project continues. I know that the guy from India is currently full-time working on localization and language support on the software. So it's continuing, but yeah, I'm not keeping up to date with the details.
Like all these projects, the interface they use, is it through the browser, or there's a software tool, or Poodle itself?
Poodle, yes, Poodle is entirely web-based, so you use a browser. I can show it to you. I don't know if I've got internet connectivity. I'll try to just see what we're doing for time. So this is the part where I share our big secrets, but of course all our secrets are discussed on public mailing lists, so they're not really secrets. But upcoming fairly soon, or that people have indicated, some of the volunteers that they're already working on, direct support for Java properties, video subtitles and PHP files. That's actually already done, it's just not in a released version yet. Terminology extraction, we've had a tool for terminology extraction already in the Translate toolkit, but now it's actually integrated in Poodle, so you can, for your project, say, generate a terminology list. We'll do some frequency analysis and try to come up with a list of very likely terms that you might want to standardize, and actually make it very easy for you to do the right thing, namely to do good terminology development for your translation. Now, there was just recently a guy saying he wants to make a really advanced subtitle translation system for on Poodle, or as part of Poodle. I don't know how much time he has and whether this means next month or next year, but I'm quite excited about it. You might be familiar with .sub or other like subtitling websites, and he wants to do something like that. We've got some ideas for better TM and MT in Poodle. It's very easy to say that because it's easy to do better. I'm not going